God bless everybody. Today it is April 12th of 2024, and things are probably going to break this weekend, so I want to fill you in on some things that could happen and some things you should be watching for. You might want to fill your vehicles up this weekend before things really get crazy out here, and maybe nothing will happen at all. But right as of now, everybody's basically indicating that Israel is going to be attacked in some way, shape, or fashion through Iran. And that it could either happen through Iran itself or Hezbollah or some of their proxies like Hezbollah. And you could bring in the Houthis, these factions from Africa. You've got Arab nations on the ground in Syria and Iraq. You got potentially Turkey getting ready to come into this. You got a lot of players that could compress this area in the next few days to the next few weeks. And I've talked about this gap between April 8th and that eclipse and April 20th, which is basically 1260 days to the Feast of Trumpets of 27. I think that's extremely important as we move into this. So they're starting to shut down airports over Israel. They're starting to shut down airports over Iran. They're shutting. And when you start to see airport movement through air traffic shut down in countries, that is a good sign that they're getting ready for something to happen because they don't want to disrupt their economies. Okay, so you don't do these kind of things unless you're feel there's an extreme threat on your doorstep that's going to cause all kinds of problems. And then you also watch people start pulling all their people out of these areas. So like the United States will probably start pulling out their people in Israel and possibly even Iran if we have people over there. So that's something else that you should be keeping up with. They're talking about it anytime. There's some low-level rocket barrages happening right now, but they don't consider this to be this attack from Iran. So we're having these all kinds of different rocket attacks that are happening. These are increasing though, and so that's something you should be extremely concerned about. Is these will amplify, and they talked about Hezbollah having potentially 150,000 missiles and better missiles than Hamas and more stronger applications that they can use against Israel. And so the question then will be whether Israel will get overwhelmed through their air defense systems, and we could see potentially some of these missiles get through and do extensive damage on their infrastructures. Now, I want to bring this to your attention because this is extremely important to what could happen with fuel prices if this breaks out. Okay, so right now you got all this disruption between Yemen, the Gulf of Aden, and the Red Sea, between Yemen and all these groups dropping missiles down, and so they basically neutralize this area, and there's not a lot of traffic flow up through here to Israel. Okay, if Iran gets into this to hurt the global economy, as they will want to do, to shut us down and to cause fuel to go way up, they'll want to shut down the Straits of Hormuz, which is here around the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. Okay, if you shut this down here, that changes the equation because now you've locked down this whole area for any kind of transportation up and down through this area. Okay, that's going to shock the fuel prices and the barrels of oil out here to where they're going to go up to triple digits. If this thing breaks out, you could see oil go to 125 or higher a barrel, which would then cause a rippling effect through everything, and inflation would go insane. And if that happens, the Arabs could get into this and embargo us or the world to the point where they lock down everything, and it creates an additional crisis similar to the 1973 oil crisis, where we had gas lines everywhere and fuel went up 3x overnight. Okay, this could happen. And if you remember the oil or the gas fuel lines where you had to go there on a specific date and get a few gallons of fuel, and you had to wait in lines for hours to get your few gallons of gas while the whole economy shut down? This could get ugly quickly. And so I've been talking about a potential black swan event on this Monday, because if you get an attack like this and these fuel prices start to really push up past triple digit, you're at $90 now or higher, you get these fuel prices move up over $100 to $125, and then you have an embargo thrown down on top of it, it's a game changer. Look, a similar thing happened in 1973 during the Yom Kippur Wars, okay? Realize what's going on here. You got to realize history repeats itself, okay? Look, Arabs basically put on an embargo of oil. And the reason they did this was they hate Israel, okay? Which they still do. NATO hates Israel. Everybody hates Israel. As far as we can tell, even the United States ain't real happy with them right now, okay? These Arab countries announced an impending total oil embargo against the countries who supported Israel. At any point, the fourth Arab-Israel War, Yom Kippur War, it's all basically the same thing. Yom Kippur was back in October of 1973, so need to understand that's what's going on here, which, look at this, which began after Egypt and Syria launched a large-scale surprise attack, which ultimately a successful attempt to recover the territories they had lost to Israel during the third Arab-Israeli War. Well, now you're getting ready to go into the fifth Arab-Israeli War, okay? And so what OPEC did was they put an embargo down, and look at what happened. And now look, okay, this was 1973, okay? So you got to understand what's going on here. They put an embargo down against Canada, Japan, Netherlands, the United Kingdom, and the U.S., which expanded into all these other areas. In March of 1974, the embargo was lifted, but look what happened. Prices of oil rose nearly 300%. It went from $3 a barrel to nearly $12 a barrel globally, okay? Now, if you 3x our fuel now at $90 a barrel and it goes to $2.70 a barrel, can you imagine? I'm not sure I can imagine what the pump prices will be, okay? Look. This is not a mess around time. If this breaks out, this could get ugly quickly, and it's all going to be fuel driven, okay? Oil driven, because it drives the economy, regardless of all this crap they're throwing down about solar, wind, and all this other stuff. Your economy is driven by oil. You're also going into a Friday that looks terrible in the markets right now. You've got the Dow down 543.44, the Nasdaq's crashing down almost 2% at 297.82. You got the S&P crashing at 85.59, which is almost 1.65% decrease. You got all kinds of look at these companies that are getting hit today. Look at the amount of loss in their margins that they're losing right now due to these stocks tanking. I mean, you're losing 5 to 8 to 10% on some of these stocks here, and the bonds are still melting up at times, okay, guys? Today they're down a little, but if you get a shock here, and oil starts moving up, them bonds are going to flake out, and they're going to melt up, and it's going to cause insanity on the ground. Look, oil is moved way up. That's probably WTI. Brent's even higher. Natural gas is up. Gold and silver are down marginally, guys. Marginally. Look at silver. Okay, gold went up over $2,400. That's what I mean. People are running to safe havens. They got no choice. They know these markets are getting ready to tank. Okay, so you need to understand this. Look at Bitcoin. Okay, look, when I talk about these markets going down, they don't go down overnight. It takes a little while. They're charted for a reason. I warn you plenty of time in advance that they're going to crash, okay? So the other day when I put it out there, the Bitcoin was going to go below 60 and then potentially drop to 42.5 or below 40 if it really gets bad out here due to geopolitical craziness. It's probably going to happen, and I'm telling you, this could happen in the next week or so because it's already starting to fail. Look, Bitcoin's lost over $3,000 overnight, okay? It's starting to react to the markets just as metals are reacting and moving up. And yes, they'll drop down at times, but they'll move back up, and they're in a trajectory up right now due to this condition that we're in right now of this war that's moving, and that is what's moving all these dials right now. Is this potential attack by Iran? It's what's moving everything right now, guys. So 50 years ago, you had a massive oil crisis. And 50 years later, from 1973, you're going to have another one. And you're on the very margins of it right now. I'm not a financial planner, advisor for anybody but myself. You need to get your oil in your lamps, guys. This may be the last possible chance before this really breaks, okay? And think about it. If you have an attack from Iran onto Israel of any size, shape, or form, which is they're going to attack, they're going to hit them. It could be global. Israel has to retaliate. Iran will retaliate. This will accelerate over the weekend to a potential black swan event on Monday or in the next week as we move into the next week towards April 20th. Okay, guys? They're going to reset the system. I've been talking about this forever. You got to reset the system. The only way, look, the way you reset the system is you break it, you force oil to go way up, you create a total nightmare on the planet, and then you bring the economies down, you drive oil up so that everybody basically loses everything, and they restructure everything, and they go to war. This is how it always works. You saw this happen in 1973, and guess what? You're getting ready to have another one. Okay, this is like the fifth Arab-Israeli war that's getting ready to start on top of all this other stuff that's going on out here. Would you get an embargo on oil? And I'm going to tell you right now, things will change. You can see if you haven't gotten ready, you aren't going to be ready. And there's no way you can probably get ready completely before this thing really breaks. But that's, I'm just trying to warn you guys. You can do whatever you want out here. It's getting ready to break. Iran will dictate the picture as we move forward, and Israel will offset that picture, and it will create a widening of a regional battle that will encompass the whole world soon. Okay? Ukraine's losing the war up there against Russia. The euro and all that's getting ready to, NATO's getting ready to go against Russia because they feel that he's an imminent threat. We just saw a huge power plant in Kiev over in Ukraine destroyed. That's a game changer for them. Okay, so Ukraine will have to try to retaliate, and they're going to lose this battle because we can't shove enough weapons and stuff up there to matter, okay? NATO's going to have to figure this one sort of out on their own because we're out on a limb and we don't have any money left to support the global war effort. Keep an eye on this, guys. Things are changing rapidly, and you need to understand what's coming. But if they throw something like this down on you with what's going on in the world, this is going to be a much bigger destructive process than we saw back in 1973 due to all the geopolitical and everything going on out here. And then if you get this to happen and you raise those prices up to where fuel at the pump is like $5, $7, $9 a gallon, I don't know where it could end up. You're going to have civil war on the ground. Civil war on the ground. And it's crazy how we seem to understand what's coming, because guess what? The war, or the movie Civil War, is coming out. Guess what? Today, guys. It's being released today. So what do they know? What do they know that they're not telling you out here? I keep telling you, they're lying to you. They're not giving you any information out here. That's why we're out here telling you what's coming. This is going to unleash this weekend. We're 8 hours behind. I'm in Central Time. It is 9:49 p.m. over there right now, and my guess is, just as we saw on October 7th during the Sabbath, they'll unleash this nightmare tomorrow on the Sabbath against the Jews, which is going to change your whole world. I may be wrong, but this is going to break regardless of whether it's biblical or not. So if you haven't been getting ready, I don't know what to tell you. But I'm telling you it's probably biblical, because I've been explaining this stuff for years to y'all to explain where we are at this very moment in time. And if you haven't gotten ready and you don't see it coming, I really feel sorry for you, because you won't be ready and you won't be good. Look, if you're not ready and you don't have oil in your lamp and you're on the ground struggling like all the rest of the people, how are you going to help anybody out here? Why do you think he told you to put some oil in your lamp? Yeah, you shouldn't give it all to people. I get it. But you can't be in a condition to where you can't help yourself, let alone help anybody else out here. It's not just about you. We're trying to be fishermen of men, trying to get people on the other side of the story here. And this is going to be a choice between evil and good, as you can see. Sevenfold the evil is coming upon you. You better get ready, guys. Civil war is getting ready to hit this country. Joe Biden broke this nation of Israel in half when he did his State of the Union speech. We saw a huge eclipse with a big A form over this country in the last 7 years, and it's a warning to you that between April 8th and April 20th, things are going to break on you. It's just that simple. I've been warning you about this a long, long time. I'm not sure I'm going to have a platform here much longer to keep warning you, okay? So, I'm concerned. I want you to protect yourself. Get right with God and Jesus. Realize there's only one way out of this picture, and that's truly believe that Jesus is the Son of God. And you might be part of that remnant, at least in this country, that will be removed from this nightmare when it's finished, as he does in all nations, with all countries and all peoples. There's always a remnant of about a third. And that should tell you the state of our country right now, that only about a third of the Gentiles truly believe in the Lord Jesus, and they're not being deceived. So God bless everybody. Do what's required. And if it breaks, maybe I'll see you on the ground. But get ready. There's no turning back. The clock is moving forward. You are at 1,268 days to the Feast of Trumpets, the 27th of October 2nd. So that's where you are in time. God bless. Have a great night.